I have this 50-inch Vizio model number here. My uncle gave this to me. He picked it up off the curb, so we don't know what condition it's in. He said if you can fix it, it's yours. If you can't fix it, throw it away. So I'm going to take a look at it and see what I can figure out. The screen doesn't look cracked, but there is a couple scratches in it that might not be a real big deal once the TV's on or anything, but we'll take a look at it. When I hit the power button, this is the only thing it does. The light comes on, and then it slowly just fades away to nothing. And you can see nothing shows up on the screen. So that's what we got. I'm going to lay this down, turn it around, lay it down, and take it apart, find out what's going on. Alright, so I took the back of this off and I realized a couple things. For one, somebody had already had this apart because there was only 4 screws holding the back cover on. And first thing I do usually when I take something apart is I'll just give everything a visual look to see what's going on. And when I did that, I also found out that somebody had, the person had wrapped the fuse in tin foil to see if that would get the TV working again. Well, the fuse was never blown in the first place, so the tin foil didn't do any good anyway. So other than that, everything seems to look alright. It doesn't look like anybody got in there and badgered the boards up at all or anything. So what I started doing was checking out the voltages, making sure the power supply board was good. And I checked these voltages up here on these 3 connectors. Remember, the only 3 that go off to everything else. So if you have all those voltages, you're doing good. And I did. I do have all these voltages. So, and those voltages are, you know, about the usual on, I guess, any TV. We have some 24 volts on this one, along with a 12 volt, but there isn't a wire. There isn't a wire in every pin of these, so I'm just kind of giving you the voltage that it says right here on the board. The center one, that has some 12 volts, so there's only 2 wires in there. And this first one here, that one has some 12 volts and plus 5 volts, and when you power on the unit, it has a wire for that. Again, those aren't all filled either. So, but like I said, I do have all the power coming from there, so I know my power supply board should be good. I took a look at the LED power board. That there looks okay. Didn't see anything wrong with it. You can see that this board has a lot of wires going to it. This is one of those TVs that has active LED zones where it can increase the contrast in whatever part of the screen it needs to, depending on what's playing on the screen. So there's a total of like 64 of these wires all together on all 4 of these connectors. So there must be somewhere around 64 LEDs in this thing, so it can pretty much control each LED by itself. So I did pop off one of these, and I took my LED tester. Pull it out here for you. You probably know what I'm talking about. This LED tester right here, and I touched it on the red wire and then some of the white wires. So when I did that, I could see through these tiny little holes here that light was popping in on there. So I didn't check them all, but the ones I did check, I did see light, so I don't really suspect anything wrong with this board here. The main board, that looked okay. After I looked at this whole thing and decided, okay, I need to figure out what's going on here, if there's any known things wrong with this TV, this model of TV. So I got on the internet and I found a video that told me that this particular TV, this model number, the EEPROM goes bad in it, which is on the back side of this board here. So we're going to have to look at that and find out if that's the problem. And change that, and hopefully it fixes it. They say that's usually what goes wrong, and that'll stop it from coming on, stop it from having backlight. So we'll take that board out and we'll see what we can find out about that, because we can't do nothing else until we get this thing powered up to see if anything else is damaged or doesn't work. So I'll work on getting this board out here and then we'll go from there. Alright, there's the board. I did notice looking at this here that the first pin on this side over here, that little tiny trace, looks like it broke loose from the plastic, like it's not glued anymore. That was looks like a manufacturing boo-boo there, so hopefully we can get that back in there without shorting it out on anything else. This is the chip. This is the chip that we're going to need to replace. That's this small one right here. So we have to take that off, put that back on, and hopefully that fixes everything. If it don't, these particular boards I looked up, cheapest you can get it is probably $100 if they're still available. So if you have this TV, good luck on trying to find parts for it, because there isn't hardly anybody that has any that I know when I searched. So that's what we got. And since I found out that this TV has this problem, and we'll give that a try first, look what I got already. So we'll find out if this is $20 down the drain or if it works. So I won't be buying this board if that chip doesn't fix it. I can't see spending $100 on this board, not knowing if there's anything wrong with the screen or anything like that. So I don't know what I'll do afterwards. So alright, I'm going to start working on getting this chip off there, so then we can get that new one put on there. So I got the chip off. It was pretty easy. I couldn't pull it off, so that's why I got my pick out and just kind of lifted each leg as I heated it. However you get them off, it doesn't matter. It all works. I'm just going to clean up, touch up these pads. Don't put a lot of heat on these pads, because if you lift them, you're pretty much done for. You have to look for another spot to solder it to. So I always clean my stuff with what I got here, isopropyl alcohol, 99.9% pure. I dump it in this little this handy little plunger thing here. I'm sure you've seen these. All you do is you have to just go like push it down a little bit, and then it comes up through there. No mess at all. Got my label on there, tells people what it is, in case anybody thinks they want to drink it or something, which I hope not. Just going to get some of that old stuff off there. There is a capacitor right close to this thing, so you have to be careful with that. Don't want to damage this little capacitor off to the side. I can put a picture up there so you can see it. I do have a picture of this before I took it out to show you what it is. Alright, so I don't know how sensitive these things are, but I'm going to set up a strap so I can strap myself in. You should really do that for any electronics. Have yourself strapped in, because you never know when static electricity might hit. But I'm going to do it with this chip just because it seems like it must be sensitive, because it probably blows when you turn on and off the TV. So the static in your body is probably enough to blow it too. So little tiny thing. Comes in an ESD bag, that's good. Now we'll see if we can get this back on here without ruining it or blowing it up. I used to solder underneath a microscope, so at times, so hopefully it's not too bad, but I don't have a microscope here. But just have to make sure that our number 1 pin is pointing towards our number 1 pin on the board, which also has a little dot next to it. So the chip, of course, has a little indent in there telling you that that's the number 1 pin. So what I'm gonna do is I have some flux here. I'm gonna put on here first. So that's that. Let's see. Let's get this put back in and see if we did any good, or if we're just gonna let this TV sit aside and collect dust, or use it for parts, or I don't know. It depends. All right. Hopefully that doesn't give us any problems, because that pin moved, or that little trace moved on this thing when I stuck it in there, but tried to straighten it out. We'll see what happens. Alright, looks like everything's together. Guess all we need to do now is stand it up so we can turn it on and see what happens. So I'll get that done and then get back with you. Alright, so here's the moment. It's either going to work or it's going to go sit back in the garbage. Plug it in. You're seeing it like I am. First time I plugged it in, so either it's going to turn on or it's not. Have the light. We have nothing. Well, I guess that chip didn't do it. So I guess this one's heading for the garbage. unless later on I decide I want to replace that board, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. So, well, sorry to disappoint you. Gotta have fails sometimes, right? Till next time, we'll see you.